So you're thinking about moving and living in Jacksonville, Florida, and you've heard a lot about the SilverLeaf community. Great. Well, in this video, we're gonna dive into all things SilverLeaf, between the neighborhoods, the builders, and just why people are choosing to move and live here in SilverLeaf. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. SilverLeaf, Florida is one of the newest and hottest communities here in Jacksonville, Florida, specifically in the St. Johns County section of Jacksonville. Now, why is SilverLeaf, again, the hottest new community? Well, there's a lot of factors that go into it, but before we go too deep, let's first discuss the history of master plan communities here in the Jacksonville, Florida area. So here in Jacksonville, and again, specifically in St. Johns County, in the early 2000s, we had our first community that was developed, which was Julington Creek Plantation. Julington Creek Plantation really set the precedent for what we see today because of how they developed their community, which again, these communities are typically going to be massive in size, and typically they're going to have quite a few homes in them, typically in the thousands to maybe even 10,000, tens of thousands of range. And so you may think, well, Justin, that's a map. Like, why would I want to live in a community that large? Well, what you have to remember is within these communities, we have smaller, what I call neighborhoods that make up the overall community. So overall, even though these communities might be huge in nature, the neighborhood you'll be in when you do buy a house here in SilverLeaf is always going to be a much smaller scale than that general thinking of thousands of homes. But overall, Julington Creek Plantation, what they did is they gave us our first semblance of these resort style amenities while not necessarily living in these luxury communities that we sometimes see here in Jacksonville, or even condo communities, which a lot of people may not care for because they want to have land and they want to be able to own land and do stuff with their land. And so those those resort style amenities, they really did a great job of giving people an ability to congregate to be able to have different events at, and it really started to get the ball rolling on, this idea could work. So then we got Nocatee, which is more out to the east, closer to the beach. And Nocatee played off of Julington Creek Plantation, but went even deeper into it by establishing not just resort style amenities, but almost more so amenities that you would find at larger attractions. So Nocatee created these water parks and different amenities like that. I mean, shoot, their water park has slides, it has a zip line, it has a lazy river. I mean, these are things that you normally would think that you pay money for at a water park and maybe like in Orlando or somewhere else, not in your neighborhood, but that's what Nocatee did, and that really gravitated with people and really started to push the idea of, okay, we really got to start doing more of this here in Northeast Florida in Jacksonville. So then we since then have gone neighborhoods or communities like Durbin Crossing, Aberdeen, Rivertown, Shearwater, and now SilverLeaf. Now here's where they differ. All these communities I've named, other than SilverLeaf, have what's called a Community Development District fee, and that CD fee, as we call it for short, part of that is a bond that does go away eventually, after 25 to 30 years of owning the home, but that is in essence to pay back the county for when the land was developed. The other part of it is what you're probably more accustomed to if you live in a neighborhood that has a homeowners association, and that is the maintenance portion of the CD fee, which that goes towards maintaining the community and those resort style amenities that come with it. Now that portion, like I said, never goes away, but also can't increase. And by the way, the CD fee is a special assessment tax, just so that you know that for reference. But then we get to SilverLeaf. And what did SilverLeaf decide? They decided, we're gonna still have those resort style amenities, but we're gonna do it in a way where we make it a much lower homeowners association fee across the board and not put this community development district fee on all of the homeowners as SilverLeaf is being developed. And so SilverLeaf is very unique in how it placed itself in the fact that you're gonna have multiple amenity centers. And right now they have one that's been done for quite a while now. The second one, you're gonna see some video of it here on this video, is about to open probably within the next month or so, and it looks fantastic. But they're also gonna have at least 4 more major amenity centers. But what's also cool is that some of the individual neighborhoods within SilverLeaf will have their own amenity centers separately as well. So you're gonna have tons of options to choose from depending on what neighborhood you choose here in the community of Silverleaf. So that's a little bit of the history of Silverleaf, but now let's go into where exactly Silverleaf is on a map, and also why it's such a popular location because of it, where it's located. With Silverleaf, it has uniquely placed itself really in a great location here in St. Johns County. And what I mean by that is it's in a position where it's super convenient if you need to go north, south, east, or west to quickly get to where you need to go to locally, but also if you need to leave the area, whether if it's visiting friends, families, taking vacation, or for work, you're also very accessible to be able to do that as well. So Silverleaf is located just south of County Road 210, and it goes all the way down to just north of State Road 16. And it travels along St. John's Parkway, and then Silverleaf Parkway as well once you get to where they connect. But it's also just west of I-95. So again, what's really cool too is County Road 210 and State Road 16, they both will take you to I-95. So realistically, if you need to go north or south, once you go on those roads, it's a very easy drive to get to I-95 to be able to go where you need to go. But also, St. John's Parkway, you can take that north up to the 9B intersection, and that'll take you to Interstate 295, which is the loop around Jacksonville, which can take you to the beaches, help you get downtown or crossing the river. So that is also very awesome to be able to have that, uniquely placed as far as the community is concerned off of St. John's Parkway. In addition, there is going to be a expressway that is going to come through Silverleaf. It may affect a couple of the neighborhoods within Silverleaf, so if you want to know more about maybe which neighborhoods those may be, you just got to call me, text me, email me. Always happy to help answer those questions. But what's really cool about that expressway is it's a toll expressway, so most likely may not be as traveled as other highways, but also if you need to quickly get to I-95, by living in Silverleaf, you'll have the ability to hop on it yourself if you want to pay that toll to get to I-95 that much quicker. So again, great location there, and it allows you to get to really most places in Jacksonville within 15, 20 minutes, which is not something you can say about every community that's located here. So now that we've kind of discussed where it's located, let's now go into the residential portion of it and talk about some of the builders and neighborhoods and what's really cool about them across the board. One of the things I really enjoy about Silverleaf is the fact that you have multiple neighborhoods, multiple builders, and multiple kinds of homes to choose from when you live here in Silverleaf. So again, if you're watching this video and you're looking for more of a first-time home, if you're a first-time home buyer, and you're looking for maybe like a low-maintenance house, like a townhouse or a villa, we have those. And there's multiple builders that build those. So what's really cool is you have options there at a very affordable price. But then if you're watching this video and you're looking for more of a gated community, or you want a home that's 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 square feet, and you want to be able to have a lot of say in some of the finishes that are chosen for the home, we have that as well. So that's what I really like is, there's a lot to choose from when it comes to living here in Silverleaf, whether if it's wanting to go with more of a local builder, like a Mastercraft Homes, a Riverside Homes, even ICI Homes to some degree, or if you want to go with more of a national builder, like a Lennar Homes, a DR Horn, and you have different options there at your disposal to be able to choose from. So that's one of the things about Silverleaf that makes it so unique is there's a nice, not discrepancy, but there's a nice openness to the amount of options you have at your disposal. Again, we have gated communities that give you those larger home sites, such as Courtney Chase. Courtney Chase was developed by ICI Homes, and it's almost finished in its completion as they're recording this video. Courtney Oaks. Really cool aspect about Courtney Oaks is you have Ashley Homes, Riverside Homes, and Mastercraft Homes in there, which really gives you a nice change up between the different builders and different kind of options that they kind of put in their elevations or exteriors of their home, which makes the neighborhood look even more distinct, in my opinion, in a good way. Then you also have newer neighborhoods like Courtney Grove and Hidden Creek, where you really have the ability right this second to be able to pick your lot, pick your floor plan, and build from the ground up, which is not something you can say about a lot of other neighborhoods currently in Silverleaf. So again, and those are all gated communities in the Johns Island portion of Silverleaf. But then again, if you're watching this video and you need to make a move quick, well, here's the cool thing. whether if you want to go with a Dreamfinders home, a Lennar house, realistically, they're going to both have great options if you need something really quick, because of the fact that a lot of times they build a lot of inventory homes that have already picked everything out, so you don't have to stress about it yourself. And again, those neighborhoods include neighborhoods like Brook Forest or Silver Meadows or even Silver Falls. So those are different neighborhoods to choose from on that end. And what's even cooler, in my opinion, is, okay, let's say you want to move here, but then your parents want to move here, but they don't want to live in a standard community. They want to be in a 55 and up community. Well, Dreamfinders actually has a community called Riviere, and Riviere, it's a little bit of a tongue twister for me, is a 55 up community, and currently the only 55 up community located here in SilverLeaf. And these are all more towards the northern portion of SilverLeaf, so these are going to typically be for people who live more in Duval or work more in Duval County or North St. John's. Now let's say you work maybe more in St. Augustine, so you want to be closer to St. Augustine. Well, we have some townhouse communities that like Taylor Morrison has built called Elm Creek. We have other communities that have been built down there like Silver Landing that has a mixture of Lennar, Mastercraft, Ashley Homes, Riverside. Really everything you could choose from for some of the major national and local builders located here down there. You also have another townhouse community called Brandon Lakes, which was built by Dreamfinders. So realistically, you have a lot of options there as well. And if you're thinking about moving here and you really want to be in SilverLeaf, but you're not sure if you want to buy in SilverLeaf just yet, they also have an apartment complex there as well that you could stay in short term to get a better feel for the area. So realistically, it has a lot to offer as far as that's concerned. And a lot of these builders do a great job. I talk to most of these builders every single day, and they do a great job of trying to make the experience as enjoyable for you as a buyer possible, whether if you're building with them from the ground up or if you're buying one of their inventory or spec homes as well. So that is something that I just want to kind of dive into when it comes to the builders and the neighborhoods here. And again, the last thing we do want to focus on is where the amenity center currently is, and that's SilverLeaf Village. So SilverLeaf Village is where the amenities are, and that's where a lot of times people are going to gravitate to because of it. And that also had a lot of these major builders, but also currently SilverLeaf Village is right next to the first bit of commercial space that we have here in SilverLeaf. So I'm going to go over that plus what to expect moving forward and what's coming up here in SilverLeaf as it pertains to restaurants and office space and grocery stores. So with that, let's get right into that right now. So with SilverLeaf, when it comes to what they have currently for what we call commercial or mixed use spaces, as of the recording of this video, there isn't a ton just yet. What is there, we have businesses such as, Chop Shop, Cube Smart, Foxtail Coffee, Jersey Mike's, Mac Fashion, some different things like that located, like I said, right outside SilverLeaf Village. But here's what's really cool. Now, Cube Smart's actually going to be closer to the St. Augustine section, further south, but most of the other ones I mentioned are going to be in that shopping, retail area right outside SilverLeaf Village. But here's the cool part. Currently, they are building a Publix for the grocery store and a Baptist Health right smack dab in the middle of SilverLeaf. And with those are going to come additional restaurants, shops, other retail chains. And so that's where with SilverLeaf right now, it is a bit of a blank canvas when it comes to the commercial side. But at the end of the day, they plan on 2.9 million square feet of mixed use and commercial space once it's all said and done here in SilverLeaf. So you have the ability, the chance right now, if you choose to buy in SilverLeaf, that's where you kind of want to end up after watching this video or doing more research or calling me to get more questions answered, to really see SilverLeaf grow and be one of the first people still in SilverLeaf. So that is a huge part of it that I like to go over, because at the end of the day, some communities you can get into towards the end, some you can get into towards the beginning, and this is definitely one where, as of the recording of this video, you would be looking at probably being the first half of the community, because at the end of the day, SilverLeaf is going to have over 16,000 homes once it's all said and done. So realistically, they're probably a fourth, I would say, on the high side, through that 16,000, and so there's quite a few more to go. So overall though, that's a little bit about the commercial, but let's now dive into the schools, because if you're watching this, you probably are watching this partially because maybe you have kids and you've heard a lot of great things about the St. Johns County School District. So when it comes to the schools, SilverLeaf has currently the plans on building a brand new K-8 school, which should be open in 2026 for that 2026-2027 calendar year. As of the recording of this video, that's the plan. But also, you have some other great schools to the north and to the south of SilverLeaf that are currently zoned for SilverLeaf. So these schools are going to be highly rated, A-rated schools across the board. So you really can't go wrong there when it comes to the school system here in SilverLeaf, Florida. So again, if you want to know what schools are zoned for what section of SilverLeaf, again, all you have to do is call me, text me, email me, and we can go over all of that plus any other questions you have about the neighborhood, the builders, or what's planned for the future here in SilverLeaf. Because overall, when it comes to figuring out where you want to be here in Jacksonville, Florida, SilverLeaf is just one of many options. But what's, again, really cool about SilverLeaf is the diversity of the builders, the overall arching area that it sits in, to where, again, if you're more doing stuff in St. Augustine, there's a section SilverLeaf for you for there. If you do stuff more in Duval County, same thing, there's a section for you for there. But also, even though there's not a ton in SilverLeaf currently with commercial, you also have a lot of other commercial opportunities not too far away. You're only going to be about a 10-minute drive away from the Durbin Pavilion, which is almost like a mini town center located within North St. Johns County. But you're also only about 20-25 minutes away from the St. John's Town Center, which has really almost become the hub of Jacksonville, Florida, as it pertains to where people go to when it comes to restaurants and shopping and really just gathering across the board. And again, with SilverLeaf, you're about 25 minutes or so away from the beach. So when people live here, a lot of times they like to be outside, they like to be at the beach, and that is something that you aren't that far away. And most of that driving is going to be highway driving with very minimal lights to be able to get from point A to point B. So all of this really does make SilverLeaf, like I said, one of the hottest communities here in the area of Jacksonville. Obviously, it's one of the newest, as we mentioned. And the fact that it doesn't have things like CUD fees like these other master plan communities have is huge, because it allows you to put more money towards the house and less towards those fees, so to speak, as you're living here in Jacksonville, Florida. So again, if you have any questions, reach out to me. You can call me, you can text me, you can email me. It's going to be on the screen. And overall, I'm always happy to help. Till then, I'll see you guys next time.